ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the starter. And before we move on to the next course, I first would like to reveal a secret. In front of you, you may have found this little present. And it is not just decoration, okay? It is what it is. It is a present for you. It's a book with the title Heteros Fragen, Homos Antworten. Unfortunately, it's a German book. It is a summary of 50 real questions by straight people, everything they wanted to know about LGBT people. And the answers come from LGBT journalists from a large German newspaper. And I can imagine how many books you get to read from people. And it's definitely the same with this book. We would love for you to read this book. The good thing about this book is it's quite small. So it fits in your suitcase or in your handbag. It is short and easy to read. And last but not least, it is funny but doesn't use all the stereotypes. And now I would like to introduce Claudia Brind-Woody from IBM, which will give in a minute her keynote about authentic leadership. Claudia, I personally feel very honored that you accepted our invitation to speak tonight. And as said earlier, we've known for quite a while. Claudia was one of the out executives at IBM when I worked there, who made me believe that coming out at work and engaging in IBM's LGBT employee network is not something that harms your career. You were my mentor, and you're still a role model for me. Claudia Brind-Woody is currently the Vice President and Managing Director for IBM Global Intellectual Property Licensing. And Claudia has been with IBM since 1996 and has held multiple global roles during her tenure, including work in Finland as well as in the United Kingdom. Claudia is an accomplished speaker and who has represented IBM in many conferences, I would say, around the world. And she has also contributed to several books. One of them was The Glass Closet, Why Coming Out is Good for Business, by Lord Brown, our last year's speaker at the Dinner Beyond Business. Claudia serves on several advisory boards, for example, Workplace Pride in Amsterdam, Stonewall Global Diversity Champions in the UK. She has also served on the board of directors of Authentically Workplace Advocates in the US, the Lambda Legal Board of Directors, and the John C. Stennis Institute of Government Board of Advisors in the US. Loads of different, difficult names.
I'm just old.
But you feel young, Claudia. In 2011, Claudia received the Out and Equal Trailblazer Award and was listed in the Go magazine's 100 Women We Love. In 2012, she was included in the Guardian's World Pride Power List Top 100 and received the Emily Wersching Kelly Leadership Award, very difficult, from Mary Baldwin College, where she is still a member of the Athletic Hall of Fame. And it goes on and on and on. In 2013, she was listed number 6 on the Financial Times Outstanding in Business LGBT Role Models, and in 2014, she was listed as number 10 of their top 100. Most recently, she was listed as number 2 on the Telegraph Media Group's Out at Work LGBT Top 50 executive lists for 2015, and number 5 on the 2015 Financial Times Top 100 Role Models. So she is quite a famous out executive, I would say. Please welcome with me Claudia Brind-Woody, tonight's keynote speaker. Thank you very much, Claudia.
Like I said, I'm just old. I've been around. So first, let me apologize for not speaking in German. I'm told that I really, even though I live in the UK, I don't speak English. I speak American, so you'll have to put up with my Southern American accent tonight. But thank you. Thank you, Albert, for the invitation to be here, and thank you, a very distinguished crowd tonight. When Albert invited me, he said, Claudia, I really want you to talk about why LGBT diversity is important in the whole diversity scheme of things. We talk a lot about women in diversity here in Europe, here in Germany, but why is LGBT important? So you guys are here because you understand the business case for diversity. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. But let me share with you how I teach white, middle-aged, straight men about diversity. First of all, I ask them what their favorite sports team is. Now, if they're in the US, they'll say football, and they mean American football, baseball, basketball. In Finland, they would say hockey. In the Netherlands, they would say field hockey. You know, here in Europe, I always get the answer of proper football. You know, and then I say, okay, tell me who the most important player is. And I get the exact same answer every time. American football, quarterback, baseball, pitcher, basketball, they'll say point guard or center. You know, and with proper football, they'll say striker. I say, fine. I'll give you a team of all strikers. I'm going to take the rest of the forwards and the midfielders and the defensive players and the goalkeeper and all those different skills. And you can have a team of all strikers. And we're going to play. Which of us is going to win? And the light bulb goes on. Because I'm going to win every time. Every time. So if you have your colleagues say, why does diversity matter? What's the business case here? Remind them of a sports team. Remind them that you have to have that diversity. Remind them that that gay, flamboyant goalkeeper in the colored uniform and the ugly shoes, right, is really very important. You know, all the rest of you look alike in the same uniforms, right? That's what diversity is about. That's why diversity matters, because we in business want to win. We want to win. And we're challenged in the economy today from various fronts. If we want to win, we not only have to have diversity, but we've got to value it. So this is the participative part. Can't even talk. If you have a women's network where you, as a senior leader, as an HR leader, have a list of top potential women, raise your hand, or you know how to get hold of that list. Yeah, right? And do you include them in leadership training or mentoring? Anybody? Yeah. Good. That's excellent. Do you intentionally include women on slates for promotions? Anybody? Yeah. Okay. Now, raise your hands if you have a list of your top talent LGBT people. You can raise that. IBM does. Okay? Accenture does. Okay? Great. Do you bring them into leadership training because you've identified them? All right? Do you have a self-identification for your LGBT folks? So you can cross-reference. Yeah, you can. So I'm telling you, you can. IBM has self-ID for LGBT folks in 39 countries, and we cover 87% of our global workforce. Unfortunately, one of the countries is not Germany, right? We can't do it here because of the privacy laws. But where it's legal, where we can, we've reached out to make sure our LGBT employees have the same opportunity to learn, to be mentored, to get leadership, and for us to cross-reference the fact they're LGBT, just like we do the fact that somebody's a woman, with the fact that they happen to be identified by their managers as top talent, right? This is important for us as business. So that's diversity, but let's talk about inclusion. because we all talk about diversity and inclusion, right? But if you can't find me, how can you include me? If you can't find your LGBT employees, how can you include them? It wasn't too long ago when IBM Japan senior management, country management said, we don't have any gay people here. We don't have that problem. You know, we don't have that problem. Because they couldn't find any. The culture was such that, you know, we were hiding, right? Because I bet every one of you are sitting there saying to yourself, oh, but we have good policies. We've got good corporate non-discrimination policies, right? We're good. We're good. So where are the LGBT employees? Why are they hiding? Well, we hide for several reasons. First of all, generally happens with our family of origin, right? Because if you're a gay kid, and I'm using gay as LGBT, if you're a gay kid, you're growing up in a family of origin that is most likely not like yourself. You know, if you're a black kid or a Jewish kid or a Muslim kid or some kid that gets picked on the school grounds, you go home to a family of origin who is also black or Jewish or Muslim or whatever. And they support you, and you have a community, and you have your church, and you have other things. But if you're a gay kid, by definition, you're probably not like your family of origin. And so for many of us, the messages we get very early on are very hurtful and very powerful. And sadly enough, the statistic of homeless youth is going up, homeless LGBT youth, because they're now seeing role models in the workplace, in the media, in the televisions and movies, right? And so they're coming out to their parents a whole lot earlier, you know, at 15, before they can support themselves, right? I was out of university before I came out. You know, I wanted to know that I could support myself. And they get thrown to the curb. They're getting beaten up. They're getting killed. You know, the need for supporting homeless LGBT youth has just skyrocketed in a time when you think, wait a minute, the culture's getting better, things are getting easier. No. No. The second reason we hide are our religious institutions. Because we get told we're abominations, or we're going to go to hell, or we're going to whatever your religion tells you, right? And so there's an inordinate amount of teen suicide by gay teens because their religions have told them they're throwaways. They're going to hell, so they might as well just give up now. Now, for those of us who survive our teens, and some of us have, we still have to think twice every day. Every day. You see, I have plenty of gray hair, and as Albert has told you, I've been out for a while. But every day, I have to think twice about the conversations I'm going to have. So, who in the room knows the scariest question for a closeted employee? Come on, take a guess. What's the scariest question for one of your employees who's hiding in the closet? Oh, come on. Pardon?
You bring your partner along.
Can you bring your partner along? That's a good guess, but no.
Are you married?
Are you married? Good guess, but no.
Are you gay?
Are you gay? Good guess, but no.
How many kids do you have?
How many kids do you have? No. The scariest question, how was your weekend?
Really?
How was your weekend? Because if I'm hiding in the closet, I am now having to decide whether to lie to you, whether to change a pronoun, whether I had a colleague in IBM who made up a name for his partner of 30 years. He called Douglas Elizabeth. So he could say, Elizabeth and I went to the lake, or we went to the theater, or we did other things. The scariest question for a closeted employee is, how was your weekend? because every time they have to think about how they're answering that. And if you're concerned about high-performance teams, what happens then is they either dissemble and say, oh, it was nice, how was yours? And you never get to know me. You never get to know me because I'm trying to deflect it. Or I'm starting to lie and create this fictional story that I have to remember, and it's taking a lot of my energy. But all of a sudden my team is thinking, what's wrong with Claudia? She's not very forthcoming. She's not one of the good old girls on the team. What's wrong? And I create.
If you use the English language, you would say partner. You wouldn't say partnerin like in Germany. So what is
Well, but you might not say partner at all. Yeah, you might say, but then you have to use a pronoun. She did this. My partner, her. You work through that, and you realize you're going to end up in the English language having to use a pronoun, right? And so that's one of the things that creates a workplace climate that makes us feel unsafe, that makes us question, that makes us think twice every day. Every day. And if I'm senior, and there are a lot of senior executives who've done this, and they've lied their whole career, they've made up names for their partner, or they've changed the gender in the pronoun. And when they want to come out, and Beth Brooks at EY was a perfect story about this. She's a senior vice president, executive vice president at EY. And she finally decided she was going to have to come out. And she came out in a speech where she was introducing an LGBT film. And she thought, oh, I just can't live like this anymore. I know they're going to boo me. I know they're going to, hate me. And she got a 10-minute standing ovation for her courage. Even at that point in time, but the barrier for her was she had to come out as a liar before she could come out as a lesbian. And so for a lot of your senior executives who've been hiding because they grew up in a time where Lord Brown talked about, I'm sure, in terms of when it wasn't appropriate, it wasn't legal, they have to come out as a liar first before they can come out as who they are. And, you think about that as you're coming out is not a one-time event. So, yeah, I've come out to IBM. But what happens the next time I have a new manager? The next time I have a new team? The next time I have a new client? I have a great story about Ken Batty, one of my IBM colleagues in the UK, who finally worked up the courage to come out to this long-term client. And when he did, the client said, really? Me too. Can we quit going to football and go to the theater instead? Can we get away from hiding, even with our clients, right? Can we be authentic? And that's what I want to talk about now. Because your employees, those of us who are LGBT, that's all we want. That's really all we want. We want to be able to live authentically. We want to not have to think twice about the pronoun. We want to be able to say, I want to be able to say my wife instead of my partner, right? Because I want to be able to be a good IBMer and bring all of my energy into what I do to succeed in business. And if you don't think it impacts you, and like I said, I've been out for a very long time, but I'm in the UK because at the time I married my British wife, the laws in the US, even though we married legally in New York, wouldn't let her immigrate there. But I could immigrate to the UK, so IBM said, great, you run a global team, we don't care where you sit. But I live in the UK, so every day I am impacted by the fact that I am lesbian. And I think I'm immune to the hurtful words that we hear. And you think, our employees should be over that by now, right? Get over it. It's a cultural thing. But I had a cousin who got on Facebook this weekend for whatever reason. and said some amazingly hurtful, hateful things. And although I grew up in a great family, my parents were great, I didn't have any trouble growing up. That hurt. That hurt. I'm a senior executive at a major company, and somebody still has the ability to hurt because of their homophobia, because of their hate speech, because I'm different. Amazing. So what we want is for us as corporations to create a climate where we can live authentically. But what I want to do tonight is to challenge you to lead authentically. You wouldn't be in this room tonight if you weren't already leaders. What does it mean to lead authentically? The definition of authentic leadership is building a leader's legitimacy through honest relationships with the followers. Building your legitimacy through an honest, open, trusted relationship with your followers. So what kind of behaviors do you have to do, and why does that matter to diversity? First of all, you've got to lead from your heart and not just your head. It's not just the numbers, it's not just the engineering, it's not just the law. You've got to lead from your heart. You've got to not be afraid to be vulnerable. And you've got to genuinely care about people and decide you want to develop them. That's what that means. So, how many of you have proteges who are different from you? Good for you. Good for you. That's part of finding people, caring about people, and caring about their development. Another behavior for authentic leadership is to walk your talk. To walk your talk. If you say diversity is important, and every one of us in the room would, we'd all swear diversity is important. What are you doing to support it? What are you doing to advance it? What are you doing to change the climate in your workplaces? It's not enough to just say it. You've got to be able to do it. I talked a little bit about teams. Building diverse teams is also a part of authentic leadership. And in doing so, you connect us to our common humanity. We have more in common than we do different. And if you're willing to take on a diverse team and work with that diverse team and practice with that diverse team, you will find not only will you be connected to the common humanity, but you'll have a very high-performance, high-powered group of folks. Now, the next one is to live courageously. And some of us were talking about that earlier. What does that mean to live courageously? What does it mean to have the courage to go against the crowd, right? What does it mean to promote human rights and justice? Because it's the right thing to do? How many of us, and I'm unfortunately included, have been silent when we should have, could have, spoken up for justice, for whatever is the right thing? Too many times, a joke, a slight, an intentional hurt goes by and we say nothing. Our silence is not leadership. Our silence is not leadership. The other thing we have to do as authentic leaders is become increasingly self-aware. We have to tap into our fears and own them and work to get over them. How many of us in this room, and I won't make you raise your hand if you don't want to, how many of us have been afraid to be identified as gay? If you're a great straight ally, I know so many straight allies who have been afraid that if they help in this area, they're going to be identified as gay, right? That's why we give you the word straight, ally, in front of ally, so you can say, hey, you know, I'm not gay, but I care, right? And don't underestimate the power of being a straight ally. Just recently, IBM was lobbying the state government in Texas against a really bad transgender bathroom bill. We never lobby at the state level, but we did because it was so horrendous. And they brought people like me in to lobby these Republicans. They brought our HR people in. They brought our lobbyists in. But you know who the most powerful voice in the room was? A local IBMer, white, middle-aged guy, who identified himself to the Republican in the office, Republican senator. He said, you know, I'm a straight ally, and I'm Mormon, and I'm Republican. This is wrong. This bill is wrong. And he, as that straight ally, Mormon Republican, had more impact on what happened in Texas than every bit of our sophisticated lobbying. Don't underestimate your power as a straight ally. There are two more things for authentic leadership, and then I'll let you eat dinner, or at least ask questions. But the first one is to commit to excellence instead of perfection. And by committing to excellence, what you do is you choose to raise your standards every day by choosing to be and do better every day. That's how we do this. That's how we do this. None of us are perfect. But if we commit to be and do better every day, you'll make a difference. And the last part of an authentic leader is to leave a legacy. It's wonderful to be successful. You all are already. It's more important and more powerful to be significant. It is more powerful to be significant. So, may we all leave the world a better place than what we found. Thank you.